Welcome to another episode of Dad Up, everyone. Thank you guys very much for joining me. I got a good friend of mine on this episode today. He's been on before. He and I have known each other since, since day one of me starting the podcast Dad Up journey. And I probably told this story the first time I had him on, but I had this weird dude reach out to me on Instagram, telling me how much he loved what I was doing, and I don't think I answered him right away. But eventually, after about three or four messages from him, I think I finally responded to him, and it turns out he's now one of my best friends, and I couldn't be more happy to have him on. Jeff Vulpis, the mindset coach. What's going on, brother?
Hey Brian, how's it going? Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you remember that day? I was like, you were messaging me, and I was like, man, I don't know if this is like one of those spam messages because I was new. I was new to the whole, wasn't new to social media, but I was new to the
Right.
whole trying to get my social media going, my Instagram really going, and with the Dad Up podcast and stuff being out there, I was like, I mean, I don't know. And so I left it alone. And then I got another message from him about another post that I did. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to message this guy and just say thanks. And then the next thing you know, what was it? A couple years later,
Yeah.
my boys and I are out in Florida, and got a chance to play some golf with him. And just a really, really, really good dude. And he's got a huge heart, and is always out there trying to help
Thank you.
others, doing what he can. But he's a really good dude. If you have not heard of him or don't know who he is, I'll make sure that his links are in the show notes so you can follow him. I know he's gone viral on TikTok. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff that he puts out that helps with mindset. And he's a really smart dude. He's done a lot of speaking, and he's done a lot of coaching as well. So, um, I know I had you on before. We talked about your life journey. So those of you that are watching, listening, you can go back and watch that episode. I forget what episode it was. I think it was in the 80s
It
or
was,
so, or was it
yeah.
in the
Was it?
100s?
I think it was 153.
Something like that. But
Yeah.
he's on there, so you can go back and watch that episode and kind of learn a little bit about his journey. He kind of had a rough childhood, upbringing, and but he turned his life around. He was homeless at one point, and turned his life around, and now he's really, really successful, and super proud of him. And anyways, so today, what I want to talk about is just kind of since our last conversation on the podcast. What's been going on with you? What's new? What kind of coaching you got going on? All those sorts of things, and then we'll get into some questions to help fathers and parenting. As mothers and fathers with their mindset and how to raise families.
Thank you so much for all of that, Brian. I appreciate it. Right now, I'm doing a lot of coaching, really pushing the content out, trying to help as many people as I can with my videos about mindset, working on some other speaking, and definitely coaching a lot of dads, a lot of professionals, and just really giving my all in the business and loving what I do every day and trying to help people level up through the power of mindset.
Yeah, I love that. And a lot of your messages that you put out on Instagram and all the social media platforms that you have, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, the messages that you put out are so powerful. And sometimes they're I guess you could say gentle, and then other times they're pretty harsh as far as trying to really motivate you. And
Right.
so they're awesome messages. But I should clarify something for those of you that are watching. You see Jeff where he's at. He's not in jail. He's actually in a
Not a
studio.
mindset coach on work release.
Right.
Just have
He's
no
in
fear, everybody.
right, right. He took off his jumpsuit, and then and one of the guards gave him a polo so he could
Yeah,
look good. No,
that's right.
he's not in jail. He's actually in a studio, so we get the sound quality and all that. So, anyways, I'm just messing with you. I love the area that you're in, and
Thank you.
yeah, that's awesome.
I'm
Um,
doing push-ups between questions, so
right,
if
right,
I jump
right.
down, I'll jump right back up on the
Right,
burpees. So
right.
yeah,
If you want to bring your cellmate in, I mean, he can join the conversation. It's more than fine.
he's at rec right now, so he'll be in
Okay,
about 30 minutes. Yeah.
okay, all right. Is it true that they just serve bread and water for meals, or do you get other things?
No, no, we get Lunchables and TV time and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty good, pretty fair. I
All
wouldn't
right.
recommend it to anybody, but it's we're okay.
Just don't bend over and pick up the soap. Uh, anyways, all right. So
Uh,
I want to ask you this: when it comes to mindset, when you think of the term strong mindset, for men, especially dads, what does that mean to you?
To me, that means unbreakable, and not unbreakable like perfection, unbreakable like the Bible talks about fall 7 times, get up eight. It's that you're able to go through things. You're able not only to go through things, but you're able to grow through it and look in the mirror and and say, I did one, two, three, four things right, and I did these two things wrong, and I can do them better. And it's holding yourself accountable and sharpening your mindset every day to get better because so many people think, oh, unstoppable means I'm never stopped. I never slow down. Nothing ever gets in my way. That's not life. I mean, you can be unstoppable on the couch eating Doritos, but you're not going nowhere. If you're climbing to the top, if you're doing things, if you're a dad, if you're a mom, if you're out there grinding for you, your family, to benefit other generations, you're going to run into hangups. You're going to run into things that are hard. It doesn't mean that you're perfect. It doesn't mean that you don't get angry. It doesn't mean that you don't feel fear. It means that you push forward and you get better every day in spite of that. It's a choice to build an unstoppable mindset.
Yeah, that's an area that I struggle with, Jeff. And just speaking on a personal level, as far as my struggles with failure, I get to these points where I'll do some things great, and then I do something that's not so great, or I failed at something, and I beat myself up over it, and it's really frustrating, and it's tough for me to get out of my own head when that happens. For me personally. What would you recommend I do when things like that happen? What is it? What can I do?
Well, thanks for sharing that because that's the rawness that really helps people. And I was actually coaching a dad about it, and I said, because I deal with that too, especially as I was growing. And it's almost like, for instance, football season's coming up, and everybody's cheering when it's the home team and they're holding up signs and cheering them when they're down. But when it's the away game, they're booing them out of the building. They're throwing stuff. They're trying to get in their head. And when you're out there, trying to become better, a lot of days is a mental away game. And you just feel like you're getting beat up. You feel like you're only seeing everything you're doing wrong. You feel like I didn't do this, I didn't do that, but you're trying. So, what I help my clients with is I say, stop and breathe. Picture yourself on the football field of life. Call the timeout, go to the sideline. Take your chin strap off, put your helmet up, calm down, breathe. The game is not over. You have to make some adjustments, but you're doing a lot of things right. So, what I do in that moment is bring calmness. Let's bring it down. Let's see what we're doing right. Let's see what adjustments we need to make. Now, you and I are on the same path with that because I have to take my foot out of my butt because I'm always like, better, 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 better. You didn't do this. You didn't do this. You could have done it better. That's not going to help you. What that's going to do is put you on mental injury reserve for the whole entire season because you're going to start to almost like a bank account. You're going to start to drain all the confidence you have. You're going to start to drain all of the stuff that you're proud of about yourself. And you're only going to see what you do wrong until one day you're like, you know what? I'm a failure and I do everything wrong. So why even step on the field? So I really help them bring calmness, bring clarity. And you have to understand, guys, I just talked about football, just like a football game. There is thousands of mental adjustments you have to make throughout the day, and you have to be strong enough to do that.
Yeah. I think about I just completed that ultra marathon, and there was a point that I hit. I was about a half marathon in, so I was about 13 miles in, and my knee. I had an issue with my knee, and it was killing me. It was really bugging me so much. And I told my buddy that was running with me. I said, I don't know that I'm going to make this. I think I might, not finish. I think I might have to drop out. And he's like, what? Are you serious? I'm like, yeah, my knee is really killing me. And he goes, well, let's do this. Let's just go. We'll go when we go and keep going. And if you have to walk, we'll walk. And so I did that for a little while, and eventually my knee started to feel better. And then we got to a point where, luckily, we were about 10 miles out from finishing. So we were about 42 miles in from finishing this race. And I was excited because I only had 10 more miles to go. But at the same time, I was in a lot of pain. I was in a lot of discomfort. So what we had to do was we had to change our mindset. Okay, what can we do to really be successful in finishing this race and doing it in a time. We had a goal that we wanted to reach, doing it at a time that we could actually finish to meet our goal. And we, instead of just continuing to run, we picked points in the distance that we would run to. And once we hit that point, then we agreed that we would walk for just a few, a minute or two, and then we'd find another point and we would run to that point. So the reason I bring that up is it's just what Jeff was saying. I have to picture myself finishing the race number one. So that's first thing. I've got to picture myself finishing and being successful. And number two, I've got to adjust my mindset to not think that I'm not going to do it, but figure out a way to do it, but still, not sacrifice the pain that I was in. So I had that was kind of the mindset that we went through, and because of that change, we were not only able, we were not only were we able to finish, but we actually beat our goal by like 15 minutes. So it was really, really good. So yeah, you're right. I mean, you have to really find a way to adjust your mindset to help you through the roadblocks or the failures that you might be facing. So thank you for sharing that.
Right. And is it cool if we stay right there for a second? Because I
Yeah,
want to kind of
yeah,
explain to the audience. So Brian's story of the marathon is exactly how life goes. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're running a marathon. Great. Are you scared? Are you this? Are you that?" You had mixed opinions before you go do it. Are you crazy? Like, I would never do that, or that's great, or I did it once, and all this stuff before you even get to the starting line. And then when we get to the starting line, we're like, "Oh man, it's going to be perfect. They're going to be popping champagne, holding out trophies, Nike, Under Armour, everybody's going to be there, sponsor me, news reporters, and we think it's going to be the greatest. And then halfway in, it almost completely ends. And you have to make a decision right there. And that is the mental adjustment I was talking about. You can focus on everything you just lost because I know because you challenge yourself so much as an athlete. You're like, I want this time. I want this time. And it's very easy for you to be so locked in on the time that you wanted to complete the marathon in that it totally blinds you and frustrates you and makes you step back from crossing that finish line. And you had to make that adjustment right there because I guarantee you, as soon as your knee hurt, the pain went from your knee straight to your mindset of, I want to quit. I want to
yeah,
quit. This just isn't meant to be. It's this, it's that. But in that moment that you were doing that you had that adjustment, you had to say, I have to make a decision right now. I have to decide to keep pushing forward and to keep moving with that.
yeah, yeah. And that's exactly what I did. Like I said, I was in a lot of pain at mile 13, and I was scared to death because I really wanted to complete this race, and the amount of pain I was in, exactly right. It went right to my head, and my brain said, my mind told me, this is not going to work out. You actually just switched your screen. There you go. This is not going to work out. And I think it's probably best that you just stop. And I just kept saying, I got to finish this thing. I came a long way to do this race. I put a lot of training in to do this race. And I'm running with a buddy that I don't want to let down. And I don't want to let myself down. And so I just continued to push forward. And yeah, I mean, so it's just all about changing your mindset and picturing yourself completing whatever it is you're trying to complete or being successful in whatever it is you're trying to be successful in. It's just a matter of shifting that mindset. Sometimes it's a matter of shifting words too. So the things that you say to yourself, let's talk about that. Things that you say to yourself really have an impact on not only you being successful or not successful, but they actually, the things that you're thinking about and what you're saying can really make a difference. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, and that's a great point. And back to what you were just going through, it's all about emotional control in those moments. Because again, it's like I want to quit, I'm in pain. And this is where you have to see your dream and the vision you have for yourself versus what other people see for you. Because everybody in the world would have understood first off, marathons are hard. Second of all, you were in pain. Third, you had an injury. Fourth, well, that's your sign. Don't push through. It's not meant to be because you could hurt yourself. You could do this. And we're not saying don't use common sense, but in that moment, you had to decide what emotion you were going to move forward with. Was it going to be fear? Was it going to be anger? Was it going to be rage for all the work you put in? The anxiety of doing it in front of people, the frustration of not wanting to let a buddy down. No, you said, I can't control all of that. What I can control right now is this one decision I have: move forward or don't. So you took all that other stuff off the table because so many times in life, with social media, with other people's opinions, with our emotions, with stuff we pulled in from childhood, with fears about we don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow, we flood the table with all this unnecessary stuff and it weighs us down. It's like running that marathon with 13 backpacks with bricks in it. It would be impossible. But mentally, so many times throughout the day, that's what so many people do because they let their emotions control them in that moment instead of saying, look, I can't control this storm came. I can't control X, Y, and Z happen, but I can control what I do in this moment and how I choose to move forward. And we have to say things to ourselves. Like I was reading Lou Holtz's book, and he has this acronym called WIN. What's important now? So when everything's going haywire, you can't look at everything. You have to say, what's important right now? What's the one thing I can do at this moment to make the biggest change? And you go and do it. Because if you say, like, this could happen, that could happen, I'm frustrated with this person will look at me. This is the same thing my parents said when I was a kid. My school teacher said this. You create this like F5 tornado in your head to just blind you from the goal. So you have to be careful in those moments what you say to yourself, and you have to take time to take a step back and breathe and say, you know what, I can't control everything. What's the one thing I can control right now? And let me do that. And then you slowly move forward and you get back on course and right back to your goal.
I think that's so good. Yeah, that's awesome. When it comes to some of the most common mental blocks or limiting beliefs that you see in men, fathers in particular, struggle with, what are some of those most common mental blocks that they face?
Everything that was told to them from childhood. If I could name one thing, because especially when the fathers I work with become fathers and they have kids, that really pulls the wound wide open and shows the rawness because they may hide like, oh, my dad said this, my mom said this, my school teacher said this, and they can push it down. But when they see a reflection of themselves being born, they instantly say, I don't want to bring them all this fear. I don't want to bring them everything I'm not. I don't want to put all this generational curse on them. I don't want to do this. And they freak out. So the dads are is what I show the dads is I say, look, you're not what people told you you were in childhood. You have to understand before that was your mom, before that was your dad, that was Timmy the guy. That was Deborah the woman. And they became your mom. They became your dad. So they came in injured and this and that and did the best they could. But you have a choice to what you do for you and what you do for that next generation. And you don't have to bring that mental block of, I'm not perfect. I'm not this. This one said that. This one said this. You can take everything you have and hand that to your children, and your children don't expect perfection, they expect you. And you're not going to be perfect, but like you always talk about, being present, being there, showing up, not leaving when it's hard, not unleashing the rage and frustration that you brought home from work or that you maybe argued with your spouse. All your child knows is that's dad. So you don't have to repeat what was given to you in childhood. Maybe you had a great childhood. Great. Give them those characteristics. But if you were told you were nothing, if you were told you weren't going to be stuff, if you grew up in poverty and you got bullied in school and this and that, I went through a lot of that stuff. You don't have to turn around and hand it to your child. You can work on it and you can say, you know what? I forgive those people. They were doing their best before they were my mom, before they were my dad. They were just regular people that became that. But when they became that, they brought who they were into the situation. You have a choice as a father, whether it's a newborn or whether your kid's 50 years old. What are you going to bring into the situation of today for you and your family? You have a choice. You have a choice to create a new narrative and a new story for you and your family.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. I think about my upbringing, and yeah, my parents did the best that they could, but they brought whatever baggage they had before they became my parents, and then I was raised, in a way that they were. My mom wasn't as tough on me as my dad was, but there were things that I think about back to now, where I'm 52 years old, and I think back to things now of how they raised me. And I knew when I had two sons, Blake and Brett, when I had my boys, there were certain things that I brought into my parenting style that was from my parents. There were certain things that were good. And then there were things that I didn't like or didn't think were necessary or right on how I was raised. And I pushed those to the side and I went a different direction with my own boys because I didn't want to bring that lineage. I didn't want to bring that you know, part of my generation or part of my upbringing into my boys' lives. So I was raised to always do my best, try to do my best. But when I tried to do my best or thought I was doing my best, still wasn't good enough. That's how I was raised. And I knew that I wasn't going to be that way with my boys. So yeah, when you're thinking about raising kids, and this is especially for new dads, but when you're a new father, there's things that you might think are necessary or things that you've so been accustomed to when you were raised that you would naturally uh, start to raise your own child that way. But you've got to think what's the good and what's the bad and push those bad things away and go a different direction. And that's exactly what I did with my boys.
Right. And it's almost like, when you take your kids off to college, right? Like the car only has a certain amount of room. You're not bringing everything. You're not bringing everything. But when you become a dad, it's like, okay, well, I'm bringing this, I'm bringing that, I'm bringing this. You get to decide what you bring into your child's life. You don't have to bring the baggage from childhood, but you can bring, I have all these great qualities. Let me pack them in the bag. Let's put this to the side and become better with this. So it's just like you live in LA. And so you talked about your parents, did the best they could with this. It's like you live in LA. Certain times at 5 o'clock, stay off certain roads because it's going to be a parking lot. But other people's coming into LA might say, oh, the map says go here, so I'm going to go here. But you know better. Sometimes our parents, our grandparents, whoever raised us, they only knew that road of hardship, of what they're not, of alcoholism, of substance abuse, of everything. That's the only road they knew. And they got this far and they parked. And that's where they went. But you have a choice as a parent to say, you know what? I'm going to make sure that I'm going down the right path. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to make a list. I'm going to say, what's all the great things that I loved that was maybe, given to me or I learned up until this point. And I'm going to put all that in the car, so to speak. I'm going to pack all that in the car. Well, what about the fear? What about the poverty? What about the being told every day what I'm not? Oh, that don't fit in the car. We're putting that over here. So you have a choice. You don't have to automatically hand it down. And let me tell you this right now, and this is what I tell the fathers I work with. It's not fair that it happened. It's not fair. It's not fair. A lot of stuff that happened to me. Boo hoo, wah. It is what it is. You can't control that. But what you can control is what you decide to do with it. And you can start a fresh slate with you and your child right now. It doesn't matter if they're 5 days old or 50 years old. You have that control. You don't have to repeat today what you did yesterday. If it was great, repeat it and build on it. If it sucked, push it away from the car, repack it, and start the journey over again today.
Yeah, amen. I think that's awesome. Um, I think about, well, let me ask you this. Why do you think so many men feel the pressure to hold it all together and not talk about their struggles? That's something that is so common with men. Why do you think that is?
I feel that because as a man, be it society, be it us, be it who raised us, we always feel like we're on center stage and the lights and the camera's always rolling and we can't mess up and we have to be perfect. It's funny. There was social media before there was social media, meaning you were always live as a man. You always had to be perfect. Oh, don't cry, be a man. Oh, don't mess up, be a man. Be this because you're a man. Just suck it up, be a man. There's all these things that, yes, we're men. Yes, we're, supposed to be alpha and leaders and this and that. We bleed too. We cry too. We hurt too. And unless you have the right team around you, which is what I value so much about our relationship as men, you and I, Brian, we can say, you know what? I'm doing good, but between me and you, I'm struggling. I'm scared. I'm scared about this new step in my business. I watched this movie or I talked to this person. This triggered me from childhood. And bro, I just need to dump it. And if you're a man, the number one thing that I would suggest to you, my piece of advice to you would be is get somebody that you can trust that you can trust, the number one thing, because as a man, we have problems trusting other men because we always got to feel like we're right and perfect. Somebody you can trust, somebody you can depend on, and somebody you can be real and raw with. If you can get those three things and hopefully add faith with, if you can get those four things, you will be a lot better as a man. It will help you because once you can do it with somebody that you can trust, and once you can see the wins that you've had and the things that you need to improve in a safe environment, you then can bring that over to your marriage, and your marriage can be better. And if you're not, married, you can bring it over into your personal life, and you can be better at your job. You can be a better father. You can be better for the potential spouse that you're going to have. But you have to do it in a quote unquote controlled environment of somebody you trust before you bring it back to center stage. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot of men struggle with opening up. A lot of men struggle with maybe it's because of what you said. They don't really have somebody that they could trust to rely on to share what's going on in their head. And a lot of men are fearful of, or not fearful, but a lot of men are struggle with maybe going to a therapist and talking to somebody that they can just kind of uh, dump what they're feeling on a therapist because they think I don't need a therapist. I can handle it. I'll get through it on my own. And what happens is you keep that stuff inside, and what it does is it starts to build and build and build and build and build, and eventually it comes out in other ways, whether it's anger, yelling, screaming, getting frustrated with your kids, getting frustrated with your wife, getting frustrated at work. And that's just that those sets of emotions that are just now coming out because you kept holding them in when you really needed to dump them a long time ago. And so some of the dads that I coach as well, one of the things that I talk about is therapy. Therapy is so good for you. It's so helpful. And you go to somebody that not only you build a relationship with and you can trust, but you can share feelings with them and they are legally binded not to say anything to anybody about what they talked about with you. So you can go and talk to them and don't be fearful of what you say to them because they're there just to listen and they're there to help you. I think that sometimes our own spouses, like my wife, I trust her, I can talk to her, I can share my feelings with her, but sometimes the responses that I get from her, are not something that I need to hear. And she may give me solutions to some things, but there's some things where, it's like, well, you just got to stop thinking that way and think this way. And so I actually have a therapist that I go to once a month and I talk to her and share what's going on in my head. And I do that not because I have problems, but so I don't have problems or so I don't struggle, so I don't keep things bottled up inside. And my wife and I do the same thing. We, as a couple, a married couple, I mean, we've been married since 1997, so 20, what is that, 20, oh shoot,
28 years.
28 years, and we've been together 30. So for us, we go to a therapist, not because we have problems, but so we don't have problems. So we can share things. And trust me, there are times when we see our therapist that we're sharing things individually, and like she'll be sharing something, and I'll go, wow, I didn't know that. Or wow, I didn't realize you were feeling that way. And then I start to think, why didn't you share that with me? Well, it's because maybe I would have given her an answer that probably didn't really help her. Same thing with me. I'll share something with my therapist, and Andrea will look and go, wow, I didn't know you were feeling that way. And so therapy is very, very very good for you and it is healing. I know that you have a therapist as well, Jeff, and it's something that's good for men. So men out there, don't be afraid of therapists. If you feel like you're struggling with something, please don't keep it bottled up inside. You got to talk about it. Go to a friend that you really, really trust. If you don't want to go to a therapist, go to a friend that you really, really trust, a pastor at your church, maybe that you can share it. But I highly recommend therapy as well. So.
Right. And that's such a great point, Brian. And I'd just like to add on that real quick is that guys think about it like this. And Brian made such a great point. It's like the Bible talks about it's the pebble in your shoe because it's you may not be that mad at your kids. You may not be that mad at your wife, but you explode on them because they happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Think about it like this when you hold it in. A lot of men work out. You go to the gym and you're going for all this weight and you go lift and you don't do protein and you don't recover and you go train the muscle the next day and the next day and the next day, and then you rip it on 5 pounds. You're not going to go tell somebody you ripped your muscle on 5 pounds, because it didn't rip because of 5 pounds. It ripped because all the other heavier weight that you lifted and you didn't let your muscle recover. Same thing with yourself mentally. You didn't yell at your kids because they spilled the ketchup. You didn't yell at your wife because she got you the wrong size pants. You yelled because you couldn't take it anymore. And that was the quote unquote 5 pounds that made you explode. Guys, weakness is not going to therapy. It's not talking with other men. It's not getting coaches. It's not doing personal development and journaling. Weakness is saying there's nothing wrong when you know that there is.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Um, all right, kind of shifting from that, dads who feel stuck, whether it's in their career, whether it's in their relationships, or maybe even fatherhood. What's give me something, like give me the first mental shift that you could help them make to get them through those times when they feel stuck.
I did a video about this yesterday with the blindfold on. And I said, if you don't have crystal clear vision, this is what you're doing. You wouldn't get in your car and drive with this blindfold on, because it would be crazy. But as crazy as that is, if you don't know exactly where you want to go and have crystal clear vision on it, that's what you're doing every day. You're literally getting on the journey of your life for that day with a blindfold on and hitting every mailbox up and down the street and causing wrecks and pandemonium for no reason. You have to get clear so you know what a win is. So many men are like, I want to be successful. I want to do this. I want that. One day they want the body. One day they want the bank account. One day they want the this. One day they want the house. One day, calm down, calm down, calm down and breathe. What do you want and why do you want it? They say, I want this and this is why I want it. Great. Let's see exactly what that is. Let's see exactly what that is. As men, we like to build stuff. You wouldn't just get 4 boards and start hammering nails and say, oh, let me see what happens. But if you don't get crystal clear, that's what happens. And when you don't get crystal clear, you have frustration. You feel like a failure. You feel like, why am I even doing this? You feel embarrassed. You feel like you're spinning your wheels and going nowhere. Imagine if you took off from that starting line and there was no finish line and you're still running. Brian, why are you running? Just running the marathon, brother. Where's the finish line? Ooh, I'll get there when I get there. You'd be laying in a pool of sweat, passed out, dehydrated. You have to have a finish line. You have to know what you're running towards each and every day. So the first way I help men that are stuck is get mental clarity on what you want. Why are you stuck? Why are you not headed towards what you want? Oh, because you don't know what you want. So let's go ahead and fix that right now.
Hmm. So if they're feeling stuck, in a particular area, they have to first understand why they're stuck.
Right. Why do you feel stuck? Who told you were stuck? Who told you? Like, why do you feel stuck? Why is this point stopping you from moving forward? What's the next step that you see yourself not taking? Well, I don't know. I just feel stuck. That's like me right now saying, oh, there's a wall here. I'm not going nowhere today. No, I'm doing a podcast. I'm focused on this. This wall means nothing to me. I'm not stuck in here. I'm doing a podcast. I'm here, not here. But so many times you're like, oh, I'm not going nowhere. There's a wall. Well, you're not going that way. Why are you focused on the wall? Focused on where you're going. I don't know where I'm going. Well, great. There's 4 walls. So go ahead and run to all of them until you knock yourself out. That's what they do every day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's right. Sometimes when I feel stuck, I have to, number one, first mental shift that I make is I completely focus on something different other than when you feel stuck, you're feeling stuck in one particular area or maybe a couple of particular areas. If you continue to think about those things, you're just not, what you said, you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to continue to focus on those things and you're not moving forward. So you have to learn how to move forward. So I have to focus on something else. So it's almost like a mental shift in, whether I'm driving, driving home from the office and I think, okay, I'm stuck in this area. I don't know what to do. Uh, the way that the way that I make that mental shift is I actually put on music, some music that I like, some music that kind of motivates me, gets me kind of pumped up, gets me energized. And that's one of the things that I tell men when I coach them. They come home from a long day at the office and they feel, kind of stuck in the work that they're in, stressed out, have a lot of anxiety over their job. And I tell them, don't listen to talk radio, don't listen to podcasts, don't listen to books. Just put on some nice music that you like to listen to that really fires you up And that will start to change your mental shift. Same thing for me when I'm running. If I'm running and a stupid song comes on my playlist that's going to kind of bring my motivation down, I shift that song to another song because I want to make sure that I'm still fired up. I get my energy going. And so I'll change that song just to change my mental focus on something different, right?
Right. And also it's what you're doing with the song playing in your head, meaning I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck. Stop. Reshift. Let's go. Take a break mentally and get moving again with some positivity. That's what you're doing because it's like that mental song. It's funny. I was laughing because certain times when I'm frustrated and that song comes on, I'm like, oh, I hate this song, but I hate it 1,000 times more. And like my mission in life is to break everything that has that song on it, every CD, every radio, get them all canceled. But that's what you're doing is you're saying, look, you can't control everything right now. You need to control your peace. You need to start pouring back into yourself. What you're saying is you've given this to the day. You're about to have to give this to your family. You're right here. Be right here. Refuel your tank. If you drove 50 miles home and you got 30 miles left in the gas tank, you're not going to be make it. Now, unless you want to walk them extra 20 miles, suggest you pull over and stop at a gas station. Same thing with the advice you gave them. You're refueling your tank so you can pour into your family when you get home.
Yeah, something that I read the other day that I found really interesting, and it pertained to running, but it could pertain to anything and anything that you're doing in life is something as simple as smiling. Smiling actually changes your mental focus and your mindset. Because if you're
Yeah.
frustrated, your face is down, you can kind of tell that you're just not feeling it. You can just see it in people's faces. Like I see it, sometimes I see it in, my son's faces, and I'll go, "Hey, are you good?" Because I can tell that their face is in a, not necessarily, I can just tell by the look of their face that something's on their mind or that something's stressing them out. And I'll just, simply ask them, "Hey, are you good?" And then that kind of like they'll come out of it. They'll be like, "Yeah, I'm good." I'm go, "Okay, because this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this on your face, and it looks like something's bothering you." And one of the ways to change that mental focus is simply just to smile. Smiling, see, it's
It's
contagious.
contagious.
I
Yeah.
smile, Jeff just smiled. And I do that sometimes when I'm running. My mind is telling my legs, "You're tired. You need to stop and walk. This is what we need to do to survive. So you need to stop and walk." And when I smile while I'm running, it changes my mindset, and my mind goes, "Hey, this is fun. This is good. We can keep going." And then it translates to my legs, and my legs go, "Yeah, let's keep going." So sometimes a simple smile will completely change your mindset.
Yeah, Arnold actually talked about that in the gym when he was training for the Olympia in the 70s and 80s and all that. And he worked out for 5 hours a day. People would come in Gold's gym and be like, "Why are you smiling? Are you crazy? You're working out for 5 hours a day." He said, "I'm smiling because every rep that I take is getting me closer to my goal. So I'm not going to sit here and complain and think about the weight that I'm lifting. I'm thinking about each rep is one step closer." And it's like you with your kids, when you smile, it's like, look, let's not waste today. Let's stop and see if we're okay. If we're not okay, let's stop and fix it. But if we can just adjust it by smiling, which so many times you can, it sends a new, shock to your brain of like, okay, I can smile. There's things I'm grateful for. There's this, there's that. So that's a great way to shift your mindset.
Yeah, yeah. How does a dad's mindset directly influence the kind of man his kids grow up to be?
The kind of mindset you have is the kind of way that you show up for yourself and what you bring to the table. And whether you want to believe it or not, it flows over to your kids. Just like you, how you saw it, how your kids are upset. They don't have to say anything. They can read you. They live with you. They know, your kids, your kids. Your kids know you. So if you're saying, "Oh, everything's okay, kids, I'm happy," no, they're not. No, you're not. So it's like you have to take that shift to say, "I'm gonna show up for myself with a positive mindset. I'm gonna work on myself the best I can today. I'm not gonna beat myself up. I'm going to love myself." Because I always tell people this: before you can love two, you have to love one. Before you can truly give love to anybody else, you have to give love to yourself because you first have to accomplish number one and then move on to it. So you have to love yourself. You have to pour into yourself, and then you can give it to your kids. I mean, you hear it all the time. You can't pour from an empty cup. You may want to, you may try, but you're not going to accomplish that. So how you show up for yourself, the kind of love, the kind of respect, the kind of self confidence you have, it's going to flow over to your family in a negative or positive way.
And why do you think men have a hard time with loving themselves first?
Because it's labeled as non-alpha. It's labeled as flaky. It's labeled as, oh, that's flaky. That's I'm a man. I don't need love. I don't need that. Guarantee you, if you don't love yourself, you love your local liquor store because you're finding love somewhere. You're finding love outside of your marriage. You're finding love at a liquor store. You're finding love on social media comments. You're searching for love somewhere. You may think that it's flaky. You may label it as something else, but everybody needs love, just like we need air. Like love is the oxygen in your heart. So you may think it's this, you may think it's that, but as men, we want to be the best. We don't care what anybody else is doing. We want to be the best. Be the best at loving yourself because your family, your marriage, everything will benefit because of it. And if you're so alpha, if you're so strong as a man, why do you fear loving yourself? Oh, so it might be a deeper issue that you're not handling. And now we're back to how we started the podcast. What are you bringing in from childhood that you're not addressing?
And I think that's a good point. I was just going to mention that if you struggle with loving yourself, it's not necessarily what you're going through right now. It's something that was brought in from when you were raised and how you were raised. You may have been had a rough childhood. Maybe you didn't get all the love that you should have gotten, and that translates into who you are now. It makes you the person that you are today. One of the things that my parents, even though they struggled in certain areas raising me, one of the things that I knew growing up with them is that they did love me. My dad, my mom were very affectionate with me, told me that they loved me all the time. So I knew that that wasn't an issue. There were other things that were issues, but that was not an issue. I knew that I was loved. And so that was one of the things that I carried over when I raised my boys. My boys know that I love them and I would do anything for them. And when they're struggling, whether they're 10 and 8 or like they are now, 26 and 23, they know that they can come to me whenever they're struggling with something and I will pour that love into them to help them get through it.
Right. And there may be a man watching because, Brian and I have each had different aspects of our childhood that we've had to, adjust as we've, become men and stuff. Now you may, be out there and say, well, I don't have to love myself because I'm not punching people in the face. I'm not, down at the local honky tonk tearing it up. But what you are doing if you don't love yourself, you're showing up 5% of what you could be because you don't have the confidence. Because when you love yourself, did you see Brian sit up? Did you see him how excited he got when he talked about his kids? How he talked about, I may not have had everything as a kid, but I had love. And then bam, instantly it flowed to the next generation through him. You see that? So what you're not addressing as a kid, what you're not addressing with yourself, one, two, three, it's going to hit your kids. So even though you may not be angry, you may not be throwing chairs like Bobby Knight, you may not be fighting at the bar, you're not showing up like you could be. When you love yourself, when you know who you are, when you work on yourself daily, you're telling yourself, I mean something to myself. I love myself. I'm worthy. I have stuff to give. And when you do that, you can truly unleash all your gifts. Until then, you're going to be 5% of what you could be and leave 95% on the table. So imagine if you had a bank account of $1 million and you struggled your whole life because you didn't have the ATM code and you could only get 5% of your bank account out. Be frustrating you, you'd be headbutting the machine until the money came out. Why would you do that with your life? Why would you only give 5% when it can start as simple as loving yourself?
Yeah, no, that's a good analogy. I love that. Want to ask you one last question before I let you go, Jeff. What is one mindset practice that you think every father should model in front of their kids?
Intentional growth. Intentional growth. Because if your child's good, let's say your child's good in sports, right? And let's say they start at Pop Warner football and you see the talent in them. What's the first thing you tell them? You know, put your hand on their shoulder. Hey, son, you got talent. Practice every day. Go out there in the yard, work on stuff, find your favorite football player, watch it, and be your best every day. But what do you tell them how you show up every day? Oh, well, I stopped growing at 21 and now I'm 42. Okay, son, well, just whenever you're happy with everything, just sit out on the sideline and stop growing. So you have to model intentional growth. Your kids are not looking for perfection, but when you can show them that you're happier, when you can show them that, you were great at this with the basketball, with showing up to work early and then leaving on time for it. You're like, you know what? I'm making adjustments. I'm improving the time we spend together, the quality of time, how I show up. Because not only did you improve, the amount of time you showed up, you improved how you showed up, and you were intentional doing that. You kept making adjustments. If you stop growing in front of your kids, they're going to see it. And chances are, remember, 1, 2, 3. It's going to flow to them and then until somebody breaks it. You want to be a man, you want to be alpha, you want to be the best father, man, you can break the chain and implement greatness. And it all starts with loving yourself and intentional growth.
Intentional growth is something that's so important to model for our kids because you can't tell your son or your daughter, hey, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this, you can do that, but yet you as a parent aren't doing the things that you can do to grow. And so those kids, your kids look at you and go, okay, well, he's telling me that I can do these things, but I don't see my own dad doing the stuff that he needs to be doing to grow as a dad. So it's intentional growth is so important. And I think that's a good point. That's awesome, Jeff. Thank you very much for sharing that, man. That's awesome.
Mm.
Um,
I thought you were going to ask me to sign your 8x10 of me. I'm like, of course I will. No problem, buddy.
well, better yet, I mean, you and I meet in person again one of these days, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Hit some more houses out on the golf course, right?
that's right. That's right. How many golf balls did we lose that day? I think a half a
I
dozen.
lost about yeah, I lost about 35 by myself. So, I was in the woods like it was deer season. So yeah,
Right.
yeah,
We had a lot of fun though. That was a lot of fun. Um,
we did.
for my listeners, viewers who want to look you up, learn a little bit more about you, what's the best places for them to do that?
At Jeff Vulpis on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, just at Jeff Vulpis, JEFFVULPIS.
Cool. Well, listen, Jeff, I know you and I are, best buds. We talk. I'm not kidding you, folks. We talk literally every single day. That's how close we are. And the crazy thing is we're clear on the other side of the country from each other. I'm in California, he's in Florida. Yet we talk every single day. And
Florida
honestly,
corrections.
right, right. Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
sometimes I get collect calls from him,
yeah,
but for the
yeah.
most part, yeah, we talk every day, and it's crazy because I know that when I'm struggling with something, and knowing who he is, and knowing our relationship, I know that I can shoot a text to him and or call him and share what I'm feeling. It's one of those things that we talked about earlier. As a man, I'm sharing my feelings or how I'm feeling stuck with another man because he's somebody that I trust. He's one of my best friends, and for that, I know I can lean on him a little bit, and he does the same for me. So um, it's awesome. And listen, if you're not following him, if you haven't seen any of his posts, please make sure you go and follow him. All the links will be in the show notes below. But Jeff, thank you very much, brother, for being on. I appreciate you. I love you. And I think that you're doing awesome, awesome things out there to help other men. And I'm excited to continue to watch your journey grow, not only as a human being, but as a mindset coach. So thanks for being on, my friend.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you for having me. And I love you and appreciate you, and I'm grateful for you. And thank you because, guys, I truly know behind the scenes, it's very easy to make stuff look shiny and wonderful and perfect in front of the camera. Thank you for all of your hard work, especially behind the scenes, what you're doing for men, what you're doing for dads, and what you're doing for families. A lot of people talk about unity and talk about helping people. You're out front and you're leading the way. I'm excited to see where you're going and how far the show is going to go and how many people you're going to help. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. I appreciate that. Listen, folks, like I said, if you're not following him, please make sure you follow him. All the links will be in the show notes below. And as always, if you're not subscribed yet to my show, and subscribe to his show as well, he's got a show on YouTube. So if you're not yet subscribed to my show, please make sure you do that so you don't miss any of the guests that I have on each and every week. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of Dad Up. Wow, another amazing episode in the books. So much was shared, and I'm truly grateful my guest was able to pour into you to help you elevate your dad game and really dad up. Make sure you bang that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're here, please don't forget to leave me a rating and a review. I always appreciate the feedback. And one last thing, don't forget, your role as a dad is one of the most important roles you have. So if you need a little help or have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me on my website at daduptribe.com or at my Instagram page at daduppodcast. Until next time, everyone, dad up.